I've been told I need to give more constructive criticism and be less harsh, so we're gonna roll with that. To the people in Oregon and to oh the No Kings people, you put on an impressive parade. That was an impressive protest, and you did address the issues that were brought up and the concerns that were brought up. It is my job to worry and see how things could go wrong and prepare you for it. You met those concerns. You also have your own home guard now. Very good. All right, to the knitting lady. Hi, it's the spinners. I kind of love you, actually. You have experience that you need to share. We need people to do training. I know there are things you can't train about, but there are things you can. Focus on that. And we need, while you're proposing a conversation, we need constructive conversations for actually how to solve these issues. It would have been better if we had got him out through legal means, but the courts are corrupt. And we can't even drag him to The Hague because, yeah, we didn't actually sign the Rome Treaty. So we can't actually get people prosecuted for violating the Geneva Convention. There is an American equivalent of the Genocide Convention, but that would require that the DOJ show some balls, and they may have been castrated, honestly. But that we shouldn't give up on that as far as doing things legally. And elections, yes, it would have been nice to get him out via elections. That also has its issues due to corruption and tampering. That is a real thing. I have seen that with my own eyes. Now, as far as the elections, we can't give up on that either. I will tell you from working campaigns, it's not just about your votes, it's also about your campaign contributions. It's not just about who's casting the vote, it's also about who's counting the votes. Just like it's not just about who writes the polls, it's about who polls who and where you poll and all the above. All right, the military, the question was the prospect of the military being used. Now, it would be preferable if we could get the military to just cock-block Trump and say, no, we're not going to follow illegal orders. But that is having its own problems because he's just having people who won't do that, who won't do what he wants, fired. And he has his own militia groups who will do whatever the fuck he wants. We have judges trying to help. It's divided. You know, if you're watching. If you're paying attention, you know. So to the question, what do we do afterwards? If somehow we manage to remove him? Well, yes, we do have to worry about a military dictatorship. That's a real concern. The other thing we have to worry about is, right, if these people elected this asshole, how do we know if we run another election that another asshole isn't going to be elected right after him? So I think the denazification programs after World War II have some promises and some pitfalls there. But things like re-education can get really fucking ugly and weird and hellish. See the Soviets for how that can go. And I think that's also a thing. Like we need to look over multiple revolutions and instances where people removed dictators and how they did that and how they restructured afterwards for the things that worked and for the things that didn't work and for the pitfalls that should be avoided. Right? So talk about, the re-education the Americans did on the Nazis versus the re-education that the Soviets did. Mm-hmm. Now, so it's not a great option, but what happens without the military organizing things can be much worse. You were talking about extremist groups. Now, without the military, like people, there is a chance that people could rise up to try and stop things on their own. And people would like to see that done peaceably, but you're not going to be able to do that without people in power backing you up, or a military force backing you up, or somebody in the shadows ready to screw anybody up who cuts off your head. You'll just die. Like, I love the singing revolution of Estonia. I love how that helped bring down the USSR. Okay? But had it not been for Gorbachev and Boris Yeltsin and the Americans and other people, they would have been dead. Eventually they would have been dead. And they were also doing legislative shit while they were singing too. So there are things you have to see behind the scenes to make a nonviolent revolution like that happen. It's actually a lot harder than it looks. And then there's the bloody way. And I hate to tell you, it's more likely to get bloody in America just for our sheer love of guns. And because the right is determined by one means or another to make it bloody, because they want it. They want that blood. They want it. They're like crack addicts for it. So if we don't have military support from our own military, the chances of it becoming absolute chaos are really, really high. Now, I think this is where it's good to look to the counterinsurgency manual and the COIN strategies, because if we look at this through the lens of how we would treat a foreign country, right, and what we would do if this was a foreign country, we would weigh the legitimacy of the government, and we would weigh the legitimacy of any group trying to get sponsorship and military aid by how they treat the people. By how they work legally, not just with guns. So yes, the counterinsurgency manual and the what's it called? Irregular warfare manuals, the OSS manuals, the SOE manuals. There are more manuals. There are manuals on top of manuals that I haven't even gotten to yet. That's where my military friends could help us. Those of you who have experience and have training, you can be doing training. It's to survive, if nothing else. Right? Because a lot of these people are going to die from hunger. A lot of these people are going to die from exposure, like lack of medicine. Like, just teaching them how to survive, if not how to, like, overthrow the government. Okay? Because I understand there are issues. And, people might start with the best of ideals, but without the proper training and without some sort of command structure, it's going to become extremist groups. It's going to become cult-like, and not your friendly hippie cults running around in the woods, hugging trees. No, like crazy paramilitary cults with dead bodies hanging in trees. Like, we want to avoid that. We want to avoid as much of the ugly side as we can. We're not going to be able to avoid everything, but doing what we can is important. So that's why, even though I can't get people prosecuted for violating the Geneva Convention in America, having an understanding of what that is and what the conventions are, and trying to work as closely with that as we can, although it's kind of impossible if you're not a superpower. It's really hard if you don't have a government backing you or a military backing you to actually abide by the rules of the Geneva Convention, especially when it comes to taking prisoners. People need to have an idea of the rules of war, the rules of engagement, so that when they do get hurt and their families are hurt and they are angry and they want to hurt people back, that they they have some principles and aren't just, deciding to fillet people or impale them, which is tempting when they hurt your family. Right now, what the most important thing is that we do is keep people alive. So let's go and deal with the most pressing issue, and that is that November 1st, people are going to start running out of food, and we can feed people. We just have to utilize the food waste from the grocery industry and the restaurant industry to make that happen. You could talk to your Food Not Bombs people about how to make that happen on the guerrilla side if you can't make it happen on the up and up side. I have other posts called Missing the Masses about that, with ideas. And I need ideas. I need constructive solutions and conversations about how we are going to surmount problems, and not just people cattily. I need people with military experience doing training. Start with the training that they're going to need just to survive. How to evade shit. How to escape shit. Good old escape and evasion. Right? I already got the simple sabotage. I already got the morale shit up. Let's just keep plugging away, one step at a time. Let's create action plans. Not just talking points, action plans. And we need people coming together to create the solutions, because not one of us has all the solutions. Not a single one of us, but we all might have a piece of the puzzle. And it's good for the different resistance movements to start working together and talking with each other and creating mutual aid pacts and calling each other on each other's bullshit earlier rather than later, and getting those good connections with people, so that later, like if for some reason, whether we succeed or whether we fail, we don't end up fighting with each other, which will cause a huge issue for everyone.